Ladies and sinners, welcome to another Tuesday evening edition of the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. You guys can get at us on our Twitter forums at Cale_Henderson. You can get at us on our page at Sin City_IESR, where we talk all things Vegas sports. What's up, Taryn Rodriguez? Taryn Rodriguez in the chat. Greatest teammate ever. Said, good evening, Cale. Have an awesome show as always. Man, you're just so great, man. I'm happy to have you as a teammate. It's Raiders-Chargers week, but the abridged version. Yeah. Why? Because both teams are bad? I can see the Raiders winning this just because Herbert, his status is in the air. If I were the Chargers, I wouldn't play Herbert the rest of the season. You may not agree with this, Taryn. I'm not sure if you do or not, but Staley's gone. Like, there's just no way with all the talent they have on defense, you can be one of the worst defenses in the league. Herbert needs someone. I truly believe, it wouldn't surprise me if the New England Patriots fire Bill Belichick, if Los Angeles didn't reach out to Bill, I think they'd be remiss. I think the last time Bill had a really, really good quarterback, a superstar quarterback, he tends to win a lot of games. Right? And that's what Aaron Rodgers said in the Pat McAfee show. If you have a great quarterback in the league, you usually have great results. It is a quarterback-driven league. Justin Herbert is a stud. Bill knows how to manage cap better than anybody. Said Herbert's done for the year. He's undergoing index finger surgery. Yeah, there's just no way Brandon Staley, and that's not even the point. Like, good, great, I'm glad. They need to save him. He's an absolute stud. Right? Guy makes throws you wouldn't imagine, and he just needs to be, I don't know, man. I love what Kellen Moore's done. I think the offense has done a really good job. The defense has been absolutely horrible. Absolutely awful. Brandon Staley won't be back. So, good news for you guys is I truly believe, they'll probably be in the run for a Frank Smith. They'll probably be in a run for a Ben Johnson. I think that the Chargers will be a very, very enticing place because of Justin Herbert. Like, it's going to be a huge draw. So those two young guns, or you go with the old guy. You go with Bill Belichick. You may not like this either, but anytime Bill pairs up with Josh McDaniels, great things tends to happen. And, I mean, Mac Jones, Josh McDaniels and Mac Jones in Mac Jones' first year, the kid threw for over 4,000 yards and led the team to the playoffs. Right? Like, they have a ton of talent in the Chargers. Not saying it's a great idea. I'm just saying, like, don't be surprised. Bill Belichick is going to get attention. If the Patriots let Bill Belichick go, I wouldn't be surprised if a winning team that has a great amount of respect for him, lets their coach go and hires him. Because he's the greatest there ever was, man. Pat McAfee said the truth. He told the truth. I'm not saying this in any way, shape, or form. I'm a Raiders fan. I cover the Raiders, but respect is due. The greatest coach of all time in the NFL is Bill Belichick. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings as a coordinator. He's got 6 Super Bowl rings as a head coach. And a lot of people don't want to believe this, but even though Scott Pioli gets some credit, Bill Belichick has been the de facto GM for the last 20 years. He has picked and choose players for the last 20 years. Yes, the recent 3 years have been horrible, but before that, I mean, he did help draft Tom Brady in the 6th round. Look where that went. He saw this guy. He said, "Man, this guy's got a ton of potential. I don't know how this guy doesn't make the team. Get him on here." So all the slander that Bill Belichick gets, I don't understand, but it's the reality, man. If he was in the Chargers uniform, I think the Chargers win a Super Bowl easy with the talent that they have. Because Bill is just a superior coach. You do not forget football. I consider myself to be one of the more knowledgeable football people out there. Yes, it seems big, but I do a lot of studying. I'm a member of many clinics and associations. I've watched hundreds of videos, probably close to 1,000 videos on different position groups, how to lesson plan, how to game plan, how to set up play sheets, all that jazz. And I can tell you right now, Bill Belichick has forgotten far more about football than I know now. And that's scary. But he grew up with it. His story is amazing. If you guys get a chance, read the Bill Belichick book, by the way. He talks about his dad quite often. He talks about his experience, basically growing up around the Naval Academy and their football program. Like, dude, it's incredible. Terrence said, I believe it. Yeah, dude. I don't see Brandon Staley back, and I totally believe that Bill Belichick is a possibility for you guys. If it isn't Bill, like Jim Harbaugh would be a surefire home run, dude. Like, imagine Harbaugh with Justin Herbert. Look what he did with Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. Imagine Harbaugh with Justin Herbert. That'd be absolutely scary. Imagine if Harbaugh could somehow pull Vic Fangio away from the Dolphins with all the defensive talent the Chargers have. You guys are a really good coach away from being a serious contender. For real. Like, that's no joke. I'm glad Justin's out for the season, though. And I'm really happy for this week. One thing I will say is I'm really upset, and we're going to talk about it later in the show. I don't know. There's going to be some hard truths I'm going to say about the Raiders in today's show. I'm going to say it like this, man. Screw it. I'll just go straight through the Raiders section, and then we'll do the other stuff. It's on the agenda. Why not? So we're going to kick it off, man. We're going to go to break. When we get back, we're going to go dive right into the Raiders stuff. I'm going to give you guys my mind, an earful. Bear with me. This is my thoughts on the Raiders regime. This is my thoughts, honest thoughts on the Raiders team and what it needs to do moving forward when we get back here on the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide for your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Colin Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
Everybody, this is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back, ladies and sinners, to another Tuesday evening edition of the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Cale Henderson. You guys can catch us on our Twitter forums at SinCity_IESR, at Cale_Henderson, where we talk all things Vegas sports. Tan Rodriguez has been in the chat. He's been lively. I love it, man. Chiming in. Jim Harbaugh did say that Justin Herbert is the best young quarterback in the NFL. It's hard to argue that, man. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the marquee guy. I mean, we can't deny it right now. I don't know if there's a guy better right now. But Justin Herbert is not far off. Like, I'm just saying, Justin Herbert is extremely talented. He's like 6'6". He has a laser cannon for an arm. He's very accurate. He's grown. The issues, he's just getting beat up, and I just don't think they've done a very good job of surrounding him with coaches. Like, that's the difference between Justin Herbert right now and Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has Andy Reid. Patrick Mahomes has one of the greatest coaches of all time coaching him right now. And he's an offensive-minded, he's an offensive guru. Justin's had none of that. And you could argue they have the same talent level. If not, Justin's got the better attributes. But regardless, like, Patty Mahomes, I have to say it, even though I'm a Raiders fan, I have to be real with you. He's the marquee guy. If you were to start a franchise with a quarterback right now, I think a lot of people, I'd say 90% of the people would start with Patrick Mahomes. I, on the other hand, however, would be that one guy that would die on the Justin Herbert hill. I really would. He has the capabilities. He's a very good quarterback. I would have no problem dying on that hill. I would let everybody overspend on Patty, and I would take Justin. Justin probably wouldn't be much of a discount, but I'd still take that discount and know that I have a very talented quarterback that I can surround for years to come. And he's got a great attitude. I think he's just a better person than what we see on field. He's just so quiet and reserved, and I'll take that, right? And you definitely don't see him whining on the field when his team loses because of dumb shit. That's not Justin Herbert's way, man. He owns it. He accepts it. He takes it on. He tries to get better. That's it. So, yeah, Justin Herbert would be my guy. Harbaugh is possibly working on a 5-year contract with $11 million a year. Yes, but I'm reading an article right now, Taryn, about that situation. This was drafted on 2 days ago. By Zane Bando. And this Zane Bando works for Pursuit Sports. It's one of the articles, but basically what they're saying is, including contract negotiations between Michigan and Jim Harbaugh are ongoing, including an extension at just under $11 million per year. However, industry sources tell Yahoo Sports a deal is not imminent and there's still work to be done. Translation, there are a lot of people that believe Jim Harbaugh is leaving for the NFL. He's won 3 straight Big Ten titles. If they don't win a national title this year, I don't know if it's going to happen for him, because if you're not part of the Big Three, which is Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, I don't know if you're winning a national title in the near future. They're just that talented. Granted, Michigan is a better team than Ohio State the last 3 years. I'm not certain. I'm not certain they're better than Alabama. Seriously, I think Alabama was the best team in college football this year. Well, I think they finished the year the best team in college football. They started with question marks. Coach Saban and his staff did a hell of a job coaching up that team because they were the most improved team. That's what I should say. The most improved team in college football towards the end of the year. They deserve that number 4 slot. I think based on the eye test that they're better than Texas right now as we speak. I think if Texas and Alabama were to play, I believe Alabama wins this time. Truly. Right? I think Texas had the upper hand. Steve Sarkisian's an offensive genius. Saban, kind of took that on the chin, and you could definitely tell that they coached the hell out of those players. Jim Harbaugh, I don't know. I think he's got the makeup and he's got the team, and they're very physical in the trenches. They can finally compete with an SEC team. I just have a fear that they got the worst draw imaginable. I personally believe whoever wins that game between Michigan and Alabama is the eventual winner of the national title. I truly believe that. Texas is great. They're exciting. I just don't know if they're there yet. Washington just doesn't do it for me, man. They're a really good football team. Michael Penix Jr. is a stud. They just don't do it for me, right? Because they never play SEC teams. If I seen Washington play Georgia or Alabama, do you guys really think they'd be undefeated right now? I don't know, man. Pac-12, this is a good year for the Pac-12, but it's largely it's a weak conference. Majority of the top 3 teams in the other conferences, I truly believe that Clemson could beat Washington. I do think Clemson could do that, right? The top of the ACC. I think Louisville would compete with them. The ACC is kind of ass. Florida State, healthy Florida State with Jordan Travis. I think they beat Washington. I think they're built for that. Alabama, Georgia, I think they roll Washington, right? I think they roll Washington. So the SEC, I think, destroys them. Michigan and Ohio State, I think they beat Washington too. I have no problem saying that. Washington, to me, they went undefeated. They beat Oregon twice, so they deserve to be the number 2 team. But out of the 4 teams, I don't know if I couldn't be more sure about a team I think is going to lose in the first round. And I could be wrong. Texas could come out and lay an egg. Steve Sarkisian's been there before. The Washington coaches have not. The Washington players have not. If I had my money on a team losing in the first round, it'd definitely be Washington. Definitely. If I had to guess for second place, it might be Michigan. Because I'm telling you guys, Alabama's that good. So Jim Harbaugh, there's a good possibility he leaves for the NFL. He can get the same money in the NFL, $11 million a year. He could go to a team. If the Steelers finally decided to part ways with Mike Tomlin, you're telling me Jim Harbaugh wouldn't think about that? The Steelers are a mecca, man. 6 Super Bowls, right? You got them at 6. You got the Patriots at 6. There's no other team at 6. They're the meccas, right? If Bill Belichick is fired, you don't think Robert Kraft isn't going to try to go after Jim Harbaugh? Is it an upgrade? No. No, but I think Jim Harbaugh wins games, right? I don't think Jim Harbaugh needs to be the GM. Is he going to want to have say in the roster? Yeah, but I don't think he needs to be the GM. Not $11 million a year. So there are going to be teams that go after Jim Harbaugh that you don't think are in the race. I think Chicago's fighting a losing battle. If I'm Jim Harbaugh, why would you go to the Windy City? Why would you go work for that franchise? That franchise is an absolute dumpster fire right now. Horrible. The Raiders have a good shot because of his history with the Raiders. Him and Mark Davis are good friends. If Jim Harbaugh's going to be in the NFL, my thought is the Raiders are the main destination in his mind. And his agency actually expressed interest in being the Raiders coach. So, and it's marketable, man. Look at how crazy good it was for John Gruden in Vegas. Right? Jim Harbaugh he's not as much of a polarizing personality. He's not as popular as John was because of his days at ESPN and all that jazz. But Jim's going to have popularity, and he's going to be well known, and he's going to get endorsement deals. So the Raiders seems like the best destination for Jim Harbaugh, or the most likely. I shouldn't say the best. The best would be the Chargers. I have no problem saying that. The best would be the Chargers. And that's hands down for me. And I would keep Kellen Moore on. Just tell Kellen, hey, I need more downhill run game because that's what Harbaugh really specializes in, just bully ball. And then, if he could, I'd go after Vic Fangio because the defense they have in place now, the defensive guys, it's just not working. Regardless, I mean, the best spot for Jim Harbaugh would be the Chargers. The most likely, I think it's the Raiders. I truly believe that. I think Vegas is a far more appealing job than the Chicago Bears right now as we speak. And I'll take that. I'm good with that. That brings me to the Raiders now, right? Because I said I was going to dive into them before we're going to talk about the Golden Knights because they're still first in the West. We're going to talk about UNLV recruiting, sprinkle in some of that because we have not done that in years past, not as much as I should have. UNLV is doing a good job, but before we get to them, we got to talk more about the Raiders. We got to be truthful, honest, okay? After a bye week, you expect a really, really good performance from a team because you've had 2 weeks to prepare for one team, essentially. Right? Mentally, your first week, you're not doing as much. You're trying to rest your players. You're trying to make sure that they're eating right. Their conditioning's where it needs to be, but at the same time, their injuries are tolerable. If they're bad, they're tolerable. If they're not bad, they're healing up. That's the whole point of a bye week. Right? In that time, you have your mental preparation for a team. It is quite obvious that on the offensive side of the football, the mental preparation for the Minnesota game was absolute garbage. You come off a bye week and you let Josh Dobbs, not even the starting quarterback, Kirk Cousins, you let Josh Dobbs win a game. And they weren't even that good. Like, the Vikings weren't even that good in that game. The Raiders played unbelievable defense. When you hold the team to 3 points, you should expect to win, especially when you have Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Michael Mayer, these guys, Jacoby Myers. When you have those types of guys, you should expect to win football games. Unfortunately, I just don't know if I'm going to say this, guys. I love Antonio Pierce, his personality. I like what he brings to the table. I love how ferocious he is. I love how into it he is. Like, this is his passion, 100%. I've read things about Antonio Pierce that are unbelievable. Like, the guy is a very successful businessman. A lot of small businesses that are churning a lot of money for him. He could be a small business guy. He could be a businessman in general out there in the workforce, but he'd rather coach football because it's his passion. I love his passion, dude. I love his passion. Chargers Patriots was bad, but Vikings Raiders said hold my beer. No joke, bro. Like, no joke. There wasn't a score until 2 minutes left in the game. Imagine buying tickets to that snooze fest, by the way. Because the Raiders tickets right now are really expensive. Like, we're talking about $400 a shot, easy. There's just no way. There's no way I'm paying that for a 3-0 loss following a bye week. And that leads me to my next point. I just don't know if Antonio Pierce is the guy right now. I love him. I love his personality. I hope he comes back. I hope the next head coach says, hey, man, I want you as an assistant head coach, or I want you to stay on. You're a Raider through and through. I love what you did here. I admire you. And hopefully Antonio Pierce is like, yeah, I could learn from this guy that they're going to hire. Terrence said Raiders should pay fans to come to games. You ain't lying, dude. You've had an owner, a dipshit owner, basically make horrible decisions for more than a decade, and the team's in the position it's in because of him. Like, Mark Davis is the biggest issue out there. Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler didn't necessarily do him any justice. The John Gruden situation, like, it was on the up and up, and we all know what happened. And there's still a possibility he comes back. But the reality is, I'm not sure Antonio Pierce is the guy. If you are in charge of a coaching staff and your coaching staff comes back from a bye week and they don't score any points off of a bye week, you have problems. Patrick Graham needs to stay. Whoever comes up, who's ever the next head coach needs to make sure Patrick Graham stays, because this guy has one of the least talented rosters in the NFL as far as defense is concerned, and the dude is putting up, like, their statistics are light years better than years past. Right? The Raiders are actually in the top 20. They've never been in the top 20 in the 10, 12 years I've watched them. Right? The last time the Raiders were a top 20 defense was like 2005, 2004, something like that, right? Where they were just disgusting on defense, horrible on offense. That was the last time the Raiders were good on defense. Even the Khalil Mack days, they were ranked like 20th or 21st. There needs to be a reset button hit. I just don't think Antonio Pierce is the guy. There's a possibility that Antonio Pierce is brought back, and I hope he is, man. Like, his energy you want to bring back. You want his energy in that locker room. The players are responding, and the players are standing up for this guy. But they did the same thing for Rich Bisaccia. There's a name that we haven't talked about a lot. I think Mark Davis regrets his decision, but this team is different than when Rich Bisaccia left. This team is far different, like just completely different roster. Would they connect the same? Here's the other thing: the Raiders have to draft a quarterback. Like, Aiden's a good dude. He's probably going to be an unbelievable backup for years on end. If you are the Raiders, you are hoping to lose the remainder of your games. I said it. If you are the Raiders, you are hoping to lose the rest of your game. If you're the Raiders fan base, if you're Mark Davis, you need them to lose the rest of their games. Here's why. Here's why. Right now they're sitting at 8. If they lose the next 4 games, they'll probably be in the top 5, if not top 4. Because every year that there are 3 or 4 teams between 1 and 8 that move back in the draft because they decide to win a couple games at the end they probably shouldn't have. The Raiders need to be one of them teams where you put the backup in, right? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, you didn't score any points against Minnesota, so it's up in the air, man. You don't know what team's going to show up. But here's the reality. The Raiders have to prepare for a bad Final 4 games. If they do so, you're looking at a top 4 pick. You're looking at a great situation for a new GM coming in, a new head coach. They can draft their quarterback of the future. I don't believe Drake May and Williams are on the table. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it in the cards. But, man, I would not say no to Jaden Daniels. I really wouldn't, man. I wouldn't say no to Jaden Daniels at all. Drake May to me is listen, Caleb Williams, everyone says is surefire. That's cool. You know, the problem with Caleb Williams is he's going to land on a bad team, unfortunately. Caleb Williams doesn't look like C.J. Stroud to me, right? C.J. Stroud's done unbelievable work, and we talked about him last year. I was a big Stroud fan. He was my number 1 quarterback. He's who I thought the Raiders should look into, but I didn't think we'd have a chance. I thought he'd be gone, and I was right. He was gone. The Raiders have to look into Jaden Daniels, man. I'm a Drake May fan. I think Drake May has the most upside out of any quarterback, and a lot of that has to do with his ability to throw. He's a quick decision maker. He's smart with the football. He just looks like a pro quarterback to me. Unfortunately, he's playing in the air raid offense under Mac Brown, but he looks like an air raid. He looks like a great quarterback to me. Lots of potential. Caleb is also in that boat. Jaden Daniels to me is the unsung hero. He was an LSU guy. He's an LSU guy through and through. I think he's got the tools. He's 6'4". He's about 210 pounds. He could probably use 10 pounds of muscle, right? 6'4", 220 be perfect in this league. And he's got a laser of an arm, man. And he throws accurately, and his talent pool's been up and down at LSU, but he still produces. Jaden wouldn't be a bad option either. I would be very happy with Jaden Daniels. I would. The Heisman Trophy winner. I'd be all about it. Bo Nix, I'm not sure, man. Bo Nix, I'm not sure about. I think that's fool's gold. Like, I don't know. It took him leaving to go to a spread offense like the Ducks where they're loaded with talent for him to, be a really good quarterback. Listen. I don't know. Bo Nix, I think they need to stay away from Bo Nix. Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman, I think, was the worst thing that could happen to any team in the top 5 because there's going to be pressure to draft him. He's got the statistics. He's got the output. It's going to be tough for a team to pass on him. That's why I think, like I said, man, if your top 3 picks, and I'll put it like this, if your top 3 picks are Caleb Williams, Drake May, there's probably going to be one defensive player sprinkled in there, and then the Raiders can somehow fall, move up to 4 based on bad play the final 4 games, and get the number 4 pick or number 5 pick. Dude, I get Jaden. Just draft your quarterback. And hope Jim Harbaugh is on the way because he can make any quarterback look good, i.e. Alex Smith and Colin Kaepernick. Both guys, by the way, Alex Smith being one, where they just thought his career was over and then it was resurrected. Went on to have some very productive years for the Chiefs too. Let's not forget what Jim Harbaugh can do. Taryn Rodriguez said the Chargers are in the same boat. That's why I said the Chargers-Raiders is an abridged version. You're 100% true. It's 100% correct. Raiders need to get Drake May or Jaden Daniels. Stay away from Caleb Williams unless he's right there. The Raiders, 100%. There's just something not right about Caleb Williams to me. I know that him and Baker Mayfield are very different quarterback prospects, but the way I look at it is this. Everyone was on the hype train for Baker Mayfield too. In that Lincoln Riley system. Look how that's panned out. Okay? Now, think of the Roomba quarterback. I can't remember his name all of a sudden. Kyler Murray. Everybody was on the hype train with him. He I'm sorry, but what has he done for Arizona? They're not that good of a football franchise, and he's not necessarily moving the needle. Yes, he's been injured quite a bit lately, but even before that, he wasn't moving the needle. People point the finger at Cliff Kingsbury. I don't know. I've heard nothing but commitment issues with Kyler Murray. I think the Raiders need to draft their quarterback. I think they need to tank the rest of the year, which is the honest truth. I think they need to look for an experienced head coach. If they can't get an experienced head coach, I would definitely give Rich Bisaccia a call. If Rich Bisaccia is like, nah, I don't know, I don't think that's a good idea, you passed on me before, then give Antonio Pierce a couple years on a prove-it deal. Give him the ability to go out and find his quarterback guru, find his offensive coordinator, because Bo Hardegree just isn't it right now. See what happens. But I think Jim Harbaugh is the big fish. If you could somehow walk away with Jim Harbaugh or John Gruden, because there's rumors that John Gruden would be willing to drop his lawsuit if the NFL just says, yeah, go and rehire him. If that's true, I would look into it. Get Gruden a brand new quarterback. I'm just saying. The offense was never the issue when Gruden was the coach. You have an established defensive coordinator. Gruden comes in. I mean, he should just keep Patrick Graham because they're doing an excellent job on defense. Just saying, man. Raiders, that's the hard truth. I don't think Antonio Pierce is the guy. I like him a lot. I just don't think he's the guy. I like what he did this week. Apparently, he's brought in experienced coaches, former coaches, successful coaches, to help his staff and coach them up. It's almost like a miniature clinic, but I think it's a little too late. I think you probably should have done that during the bye week. Would have made probably a hell of a lot more sense. We're going to go to break. When we get back, we're going to dive right into the Golden Knights, their season, how things are going. They're first in the West. We're going to talk a little bit about UNLV before we close the show here on the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your 5-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
College football, and do you want to hear a college football show dedicated to all that is college football, including junior college and the CCCAA and the NJCAA, the NAIA, and the NCAA, including Division III, Division II, Division I AA in the FCS, and Division I A in the FBS? Well, then look no further. Join myself, Larry B., and my colleagues, Mr. H-Town Blake Henley, and Mr. Christian Espinoza, each week during the college football season for the latest in college football on 3 and Out College Edition, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Welcome back to the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Those are some drops from my teammates, by the way. Neutral Zone, Adam Karnick does a great job over there. I used to be the host of the Neutral Zone, if you folks don't remember. A lot of fun. Had a blast talking hockey. I think him and his partner do a great job there. He also does Chi-Town Weekly, 3 and Out College Edition that's run by Larry B., the man, the myth, the legend himself. Fast Break, Davidson Crooks, he does a great job as well from basketball coverage. I'm not a big basketball fan, but I do find that his show is very entertaining. I do find that his show it does a great job talking about today's basketball, the landscape of things, a lot like what we do with football here. So yeah, I encourage you guys to tune into the shows here on IE Sports Radio. Taron Rodriguez is the host of Set Point. He's also the host of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. That's why he's willing to chime in and talk Chargers with me, because I mean we're part of the same division and we both kind of have a bit of a love-hate relationship with our team. So a lot of great teammates here, man, and yeah. Larry B. and Taron Rodriguez do 3 and Out College Edition. That's true. I apologize for that. Leaving you out on that, Taron. Yeah, you guys, I've listened to your show a few times. You guys go as far as the Division III and NAIA. Like, you don't just start at the major college football. You guys do a great job going into Division III, Division II, NAIA. It's pretty impressive. And I also heard a few high school reviews as well for national recruits. So a lot going on, man. A lot going on IE Sports Radio. There's more variety at IE Sports Radio than what you guys would be used to finding in most places. So I really encourage you to listen to some of my teammates. Chime in. As far as the Sin City Sports Show is concerned, if you guys are worried about missing an episode, don't worry about that. Go to our forums, man. We have a ton of forums. First of all, Twitter. Sin City _IESR, @Kill_Henderson, where we talk all things Vegas sports. You guys could also download, follow, or like on Spotify, Apple Pods, Google Pods, Spreaker. Spreaker is probably the most universal app for our entire studio. Spotify, probably the most accessible, easiest one that people are used to. Episodes instantly download. Apple Pods, if you have an Apple phone, obviously that makes it pretty easy. The only thing I would tell you is watch out for your storage space in your phone. But hey, if it is not filled with nothing but Sin City sports content, we're not mad at you, man. Like, follow, subscribe, right? There's no charge to that. Subscribe on our YouTube page. Listen to our shows there. It only helps the algorithms, guys. It helps grow the show. We'd love to grow the show even more because Vegas is becoming the fastest growing sports market in America. We talked about Bishop, and Taron's chiming in. We talk about junior college too. Perfect. Bishop Gorman's football team in Las Vegas, Nevada, could be national champions in high school football. Uh-oh. They competing for that? Are they in the national playoffs? Because that'd be amazing. That's something we're trying to work on here, in our new school here in Lincoln, the one I coach for. We'd like to dominate for a few years in Lincoln and in Nebraska in general, and to get to the point where we're competing on a national level, because we think that'll take everything to the next level here in Nebraska. So that's a goal of ours. It's lofty to get to those Bishop Gorman, those St. Thomas Aquinas, the John Bosco status. It's so lofty to get there, but if you can, your program's set up for years to come. And that's what we're looking to do, and I'm trying to help the head coach achieve that. But it's fun, man. That's really cool, especially when you get to that national level. You see a lot of those guys go on and they're very successful in college sports. They get a degree. That's what you want, man. That's the whole point of it all. You guys heard it here first. You guys heard the my bit of negativity but honesty about the Raiders. I don't think Antonio Pierce should be back. When you have a bye week and you come back and you score 0 points, he's in charge of that. I know he isn't the one calling the plays, but he's in charge of that. Bo Hardigree, he should probably stick to being a position coach for right now. He's inexperienced. He'll get his experience, but he probably needs to sit behind a really, really good play caller for a couple of years before he gets his opportunity again. The reality is I think the Raiders just need to upgrade. They need to make sure they go out and get a home run hit. Harbaugh is as close as you can get. If you can't get Harbaugh, I'm okay with them looking into Rich Bisaccia's way. If they can't get Rich Bisaccia, I'm sure there's going to be names out there that come available. some of them for no reason at all. Maybe it's just they needed to change or the franchise needed to change. Regardless, Jim Harbaugh's my top guy. He was my top guy a couple years ago when Josh McDaniels was hired. Remember, guys, I supported Josh McDaniels post-hire, right? I'm not going to shy away from that. I will admit when I was wrong. I thought I had some optimism. I'm like, man, this guy coached one of the greatest offenses ever for over a decade. I think he can manage doing something like that here in a Raiders uniform, in a Raiders hoodie. He could not. It was embarrassing. He should probably never be a head coach ever again. Regardless, Josh McDaniels was not in my top 5. Jim Harbaugh was in my top 5. He was the top of the top 5. He was the guy I wanted to replace Gruden because he is a winner. No matter where he goes, he's a winner. So that's where I think the Raiders should go. They should swing for the fences, and if they can't, you look into Rich Bisaccia. If he's not interested because you spurned him, Antonio Pierce has the personality to be that guy. The players want to play for him. He deserves a chance, but if a better coach is out there, you should definitely spend the money there. Transitioning over to the Golden Knights. Golden Knights are still first in the Pacific Division. In the Western Conference, they're also first in the Western Conference by about 5-6 points, so 2.5 games. Still, they maintain their 2.5 game lead over the West, which is huge. Home ice advantage in Vegas matters. It really does. Vegas is just a hell of a place to play. If you guys were watching any of the Stanley Cup, you'd understand what I'm talking about. Like, they were going nuts, yet gold towels waving everywhere. Just a sea or army of gold hoodies and jackets and stuff like that, jumping up and down, cheering. It was crazy, man. Was it as crazy as Seattle when Seattle hit that game-tying goal or that overtime-winning goal? I don't know. Seattle's been craving another pro team for a long time, and they got one in the Seattle Kraken. That playoff atmosphere last year, I don't know if you could beat it, but if there was somebody that was in close contention, Vegas is doing an excellent job. There was some naysayers on Twitter at one point. Like, I think I remember retweeting it last year right after the Golden Knights won the title. The guy was like, well, imagine being this team being a Stanley Cup and their fans are just the worst fans in hockey. Like, they don't even know what's going on. Why? Because it's a tourist town? They don't understand that the Golden Knights won the Stanley Cup? Lord Stanley? One of the most iconic trophies out there? Because the fans are tourists in a lot of ways, they don't understand the ritual of every player skating around the rink with Lord Stanley. It's a tradition, man. Why can't they be into that? I just think sometimes people are just bitter and they don't know what they're talking about. It's that simple. And this guy was a Dallas Stars fan, okay? So obviously he had scars from that ass whooping that they took from the Golden Knights. That was honestly probably the better matchup. I mean, if the Dallas Stars would have been in the Eastern Conference, they would have given a much better effort than the Florida Panthers did. But the reality is Florida got mollywopped, man. Like, they had a storybook season. They had a storybook playoff run, and then they just ran into the best team in the league, which was the Golden Knights. And the Golden Knights are still carrying on, man. They're 3 straight. They've won 3 straight. They're 19-5 in 5. They're first place in the Pacific Division, first place in the West. I think they trail Boston by like a game or maybe half a game in the overall standings as a league. Boston is still killing it, man. I mean, remember, they were the President's Trophy winners last year, got swept by the Florida Panthers, or there was a reverse sweep, I should say. I don't know what happened with them last year in the playoffs. I don't know if there was a major injury or what, but they were unreal. I think the Boston Bruins had a record number of points ever in a ranked system in an NHL season as far as wins are concerned, and somehow got ousted in the first round. The President's Cup trophy is real. I want the Golden Knights to be best in the West. I do not want them to be best in the league, because that President's Cup trophy has proven to be an absolute curse for like the last 10 teams in the NHL. So hopefully, when it comes down to it, if the Golden Knights are in contention, they lose a couple games on purpose, because I do not want them to be the President's Trophy winner. Not with the trend that's gone down. No way in hell. Golden Knights are killing it, man. Their most recent game against the Seattle Kraken, Marchessault had 2 goals in the fourth. They pulled away 1-4-1. Apologies, wrong game. San Jose. March Assault had 2 goals in the fourth. 2 goals in the third period, which led to overtime, which led to a shootout. Shootouts are probably the most exciting thing in hockey, by the way. You have a skater who is 1v1 with a goalie. That's how I think the playoffs should be. It is a sidebar. I know we're about to close the show. It is a sidebar. But this whole 3 to 6 overtimes in the playoffs is garbage. Give me 2 overtimes in the playoffs and then a shootout. Get these players off the ice. Think of safety. Plus, it's just more entertaining. If you're going to end a game, end it on a shootout. 1v1 with a goalie, man. Why not? That'd be dope. And that's how the Golden Knights won the other night. San Jose still got a point because they made it to the overtime. They made it to the shootout. They lost, which is why the Golden Knights got 2 points. You get 2 points for a win, by the way. 1 point if you end regulation in a tie and you move on and you lose, and 0 obviously if you lose in regulation. But regardless, that's where the Golden Knights are at. They have a 2.5 game lead in the Western Conference. I don't want them to win the President's Trophy. They're on a 3-game win streak, and right now they're playing at home against the Calgary Flames, which that should be an excellent game. Calgary is actually a really good Pacific team. I know they're middle of the pack this year, but last year, man, they were doing an excellent job. So we'll see how that game goes. We'll keep you updated on Twitter, guys, as we go on. I'm sure we'll have a final score at the end of the game. But yeah, the Golden Knights are playing the Calgary Flames at home in the T-Mobile Arena as we speak. Hopefully we see another W, man. 4 straight would do wonders. Do wonders. As long as the Golden Knights stay healthy, I just don't see them getting beat this year. They're just a really good hockey team, and it'd be hard to do that. I wanted to touch base quick on the UNLV. UNLV football had an excellent year, man. Finished 9-4. Barry Odom's done a great job. They will... Give me 1 second. I want to make sure I give you guys the proper information here. UNLV's bowl game. By the way, machine watchable computers picked UNLV Boise. Awesome. For the MW3 title game. Sorry, MWC title game. You can tell I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty. My bad. Let's see here. They play KU. They will play KU in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. KU went 8-4. UNLV's 9-4. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I like UNLV. I like the growth that they had under first-year coach Barry Odom. But Kansas, Lance Leipold, they're studs, dude. Kansas is a basketball school. They went 8-4 in the Big 12. It's not a joke. Like, Kansas is really good. They run that deep mesh system. Lance Leipold has really rebuilt that. If Lance Leipold wanted to leave, he could have done it. If Lance Leipold wanted to leave Kansas, he could have done it. Kansas extended him. They've promised a rebuild of their stadium there in Lawrence. Kansas Jayhawks are a really good team. I don't know if UNLV can beat Kansas. It's a bowl game and anything can happen. But Kansas is a better football program right now. They're just a much bigger football program. I don't know how UNLV draws this opponent. It's kind of crazy. But it's the day after Christmas, 8 p.m. It'll be on ESPN, ESPN Plus. It'll be a great game to watch. The Guaranteed Rate Bowl. I think Kansas wins this game. They have a 72% chance of doing so. But UNLV should put up a fight. Again, much improved year. Barry Odom deserves a ton of credit. With that said, I mean, recruiting-wise, I mean, they've landed 23-star recruits. This is the type of recruit I would expect UNLV to go after. A lot of them in the Southwest region, but you've landed 23-star recruits. Let's see here. Commits. James Evans. That is basketball. That is not football. That is not what we want to see. 23-star recruits. 21 commits. The last one isn't ranked. He's an inside linebacker out of Henderson, Nevada, but you can tell that they're making a concerted effort to get after these guys in Nevada, California, Arizona. The Southwest region is where they seem to be really focusing their time. But regardless, you have a number of players with size and ratings and weight that tells me they have a ton of potential to grow. You had 21 commits, 20 of them are 3 stars. This is the type of stuff you want to see from a G5 team that is growing in Vegas. Barry Odom and them are kicking ass and taking names, dude. You can just tell. You can just tell. They're doing an excellent job. And UNLV deserves all the credit in the world. I just don't know if they'll beat Kansas. But they deserve all the credit in the world. They'll go 9-5 this year. They're going to a bowl game. Yeah. Big upgrade for that team. You guys know what it is. We're going to close the show. This is the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You guys can catch us every Tuesday evening, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we talk all things Vegas sports. Get on us on our Twitter forums, at SinCity_IESR, at Kale_Henderson, where we talk all things Vegas sports. If you miss an episode, if you miss a portion of the show, you want to go back and review, or maybe there's a show you missed in the past, never fear. All right? Spreaker has our show ready to go, uploaded. Ready to go and uploaded at all times. Right? You got Spotify, you have Google Pods, you have Apple Pods. We're available everywhere, man. Like, share, follow, download. Helps the algorithm, helps the show. We want to make it grow. And as always, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Love, peace, and hair grease.